I'm Robert Shepherd and I'm a farmer from near Fordingbridge, a mixed farmer, and I'm the lead farmer of the Allenford Farmers Cluster Group, which is a cluster group that was set up in 2013, and I'm also chairman of the Environmental Farmers Group Scoping Group.
And what is the Environmental Farmers Group?
Right, the Environmental Farmers Group is a group of 7 farmer clusters that have come together to form a cooperative. And what we intend to do is to deliver biodiversity recovery, clean water in the River Avon, and net zero farming by 2040. And this new farmers group will offer organisations looking for large-scale environmental trades the advantage of dealing with one body rather than lots of individual farmers, and the opportunity also to benefit from access to recognised scientific monitoring supported by the GWCT. And we must remember that this is the biggest chalk stream catchment in England at 170,000 hectares. So if we can get through existing cluster groups, all the people on side within this catchment area, we've got huge potential to deliver exciting environmental results.
And what makes up the EFG?
Well, the EFG consists of a group of farmers because the Avon catchment area is 170,000 hectares, of which 66,000 hectares are in existing farmer clusters. And so far, the EFG has got expressions of interest from 77 members, covering an area of 40,000 hectares. And our immediate target is to get 50,000 hectares signed up when we launch next month.
So how did this all come about?
Well, this all came about because Teresa Dent from the GWCT, who had come up with the farmer cluster ideas, came up with the brilliant idea of amalgamating these farmer clusters. Now, the farmer clusters started in about 2013, and the idea of a farmer cluster was that a lead farmer in an area would get together the surrounding land around his or her land and get everyone together to try and improve biodiversity and improve habitats across a landscape scale, and also to try and lead the agenda from the bottom up rather than always taking instruction from the top down. Now, these farmer clusters have been hugely successful. I think there's now about 150 of them around the UK, all being run by farmers very altruistically, and they're having a huge improvement on the landscape and on nature and on biodiversity. And the monitoring over the last sort of 8 years is proving, as we collect our own data, that landscape scale conservation organised from the bottom up is the way forward.
How has the initiative been received so far, and what can farmers hope to get out of it?
Right, well, there's been a lot of interest from both farmers and seekers of nutrient biodiversity and carbon offsetting. And the role of the EFG will be to match up the seekers and providers over a large landscape under a cooperative model. So members who join for 50 pence an acre will have access to offsetting deals, which they can choose to take or not as they so wish. And simply by being a member, it entitles them to a proportion of every deal in true cooperative fashion. Farmers and landowners, in my opinion, are worried about 2 things: missing the bus and over-committing. And we will watch out for the bus for the farmers, and when deals arrive, they can dip their toe in the water without fear of betting the whole farm and then living to regret it.
Current world events have pushed the need for food security up the agenda, so how will the EFG coexist within the realities of food production?
Well, it's a very good question and very relevant at the moment with the current situation in the Ukraine. But I've always been a believer that high output food production and biodiversity and nature improvement do not have to be mutually exclusive. So we can very easily run this scheme very successfully alongside our current food production activities.
So lastly, how do interested farmers find out more?
Well, that's the best question. So fantastic. We've got a brilliant website that we're setting up and we're updating all the time. It is environmentalfarmersgroup.co.uk, and on that website you'll find lots of information about the group and also an expression of interest form to fill in to return to us to show that you want to be part of the organisation.